Figma tutorial for beginners, complete website from start to finish. In this video, we're going to be talking about Figma and how you can use this incredible platform. Okay, we're going to do a crash course on Figma and build this really cool website together. I'm going to teach you everything that you need from how to use the software to how to use it the right way, set up for success and efficiency. And I'm going to talk about the keyboard shortcuts and all the essential features that you're going to need to know. That Figma is a really great design software. If you can get started with a free account, you can use it whether you're working on a PC or on a Mac, and it's great for collaboration. I've been using it to collaborate with my clients, and we're using it in various ways to design our projects. So it's a really great tool to hone, and I hope this video is going to help you do just that. If you want to follow along to this tutorial, there are resource files in the starter file. So you can, go ahead and check it out on the very own resource section on the Figma tutorial page. So if you're new on Figma, you can open up a new account, okay? So you can simply just follow along to this tutorial. Now, if you want to go ahead and open up a new account for yourself, what you can simply do is just come over to figma.com. And the thing about Figma is that it basically just takes you straight into the basic interface tool where you can sign up without having a credit card, which is the best part about Figma, okay? So once you've signed up without a credit card, this is the basic interface overview. Basically, we're going to get into our board and all of our designs, etc. So what I'm going to do right now is on the left hand side, we have our projects. Over here, we have the place to start projects. Here we have brainstorm, diagram, planning, meetings. And then down here, we have all the other untitled stuff. Okay, so you can get a basic solid idea of all of these. So let's say I'm going to go with design file, and I'm going to design something new. Now it says you're going to need more files. Okay, the starter plan only comes with 3 files, but getting more is easy. So as we can see, I've already created 3 files, right? So what I can do is I can simply delete these. Okay, so delete these files. And once we have deleted these files, we can simply go ahead and create a new one. So once you do that, it's going to open up our board. Okay, so this is your Figma board. So basically our board is going to be for designs, and your designs are going to go in here. So if you're going to hit the space bar, you can see your cursor move around and grab along the pan. And you can move around in that case as well. So you can also zoom in and zoom out by simply coming over here. Okay, so zoom in, zoom out as much as you want. You can also hit Control plus or Control minus on your keyboard to zoom in and zoom out, as you can see. Pretty easy stuff. So mainly on your Figma, you're going to want to have a wireframe type structure, which is quite digital, but you're going to want to set a proper layout that you think matches well according to your website. And obviously it depends on whatever type of website you want to create. It depends on the niche of the website, depends on how the texting and styling will look on it. So according to those things, we're going to want to, keep things set. So again, you're going to go ahead and check out the fonts you want to use, check out the color schemes, the images, the actual data, the navigations, the headers, etc. So these are all the things that you're going to want to have an idea of. And the best part is to just choose a template off of any, Figma page. So let's say I'm going to write Figma website pack. You can write something like that. And if you're a beginner, you can just use this, random user interface kit. Now, what these user interface kits do is that it basically creates all these different files on the left-hand side as a pre-made template, you could say. Okay, so as we can see, we have this pre-made design. I'm going to click on open in Figma. And once you click on open in Figma, it takes you to the Figma design section. Okay, and in the Figma design section, we're simply going to wait for things to load in. And once this loads into our design section, you're going to be able to see that on the left-hand side, we have a whole different thing. So we have this whole multi-purpose kit. Okay, so it gives us an idea of how this multi-purpose kit is going to work. So if I were to zoom it in, you can see the difference in working, and the difference in how things actually insinuate in this section. So easy drag and drop UI, reusable blocks, all these things are helpful. So you can move over to the visual section, and here is where you're going to want to start working. So as you can see on the left side, you have the hero bars, about us, headers, etc. So these are different things that you're going to want to use. It's basically everything for your website. You have everything on the board that you can possibly think of and use when it comes to your website. So it already has equipped you with all the good things that you're going to need. So you're just going to want to make sure to go ahead and keep a good idea of all of this when you're working through with it. So, let's say I'm going to go ahead and zoom into the design. Okay. So I'm going to click on control. Here we zoom in. And now that we've zoomed in, you can simply go through the other pages and look at it. This page is like actually fully equipped. Everything in this page insinuates something new. And, it gives us a pretty fun little, you could say scheme and design to work with. So let's say I'm going to move over to the right hand side, and here we have sample websites. All right. So you can see each, item in this website works individually. So what you can do is you can organize these things as a pool. And as you can see, it gives us a whole sample website for us to actually get an idea of. Then we have website 1, website 2. Again, these are also things that you can get an idea of. So let's say I'm going to zoom out a bit more. And here is website 1. Okay, here is website 2. You can get, basic ideas from these websites if you want to, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. Okay, now once we have zoomed out, what we can do from here is basically start a new format on the right hand side. So in the right hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to get a frame for ourselves. So to get a frame, what you can do is basically you can go over to the empty space that we have over here. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to click on frame, right? Now what you're going to do is you're going to choose a frame from these frames. Okay. So, choose a tablet, choose a frame, choose a desktop, whatever you require. Whatever you think will work best in your opinion, just choose that. So I'm going to go with a desktop. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and increase its size just like that. I think that looks good. So I'm going to add this over here. So now you have this frame over here of your desktop, and this is where we can actually add information. This is the page that we can actually, use longer because the page is going to be longer, and I can of course make this wider, but this is an actual decent width in my opinion, and I'm just going to keep it this much. That works well. It looks good, and you can set it up pretty easily. You can also get started with some kind of a dark background with the image. Okay, so you can choose different color schemes for yourself. Now for the difference in color schemes, what you can pretty much easily do is just go on the basic section of fill, and once you go on to the fill section, as you can see, you can change the different colors. So just set a color scheme for yourself that you think looks good. So I'm going to go ahead to a bluer shade, darker blue shade. Let's go with that. That looks cool. So once this is done, we're going to close down the fill. Now, once that is done, what you can do is you can move lower down. Okay. And once we're over here, you can also go ahead and add items in the left hand side. You can add different items in the middle of the screen, add an item in the overlays, however you want them to be. It's all doable when it comes to Figma. Okay, you're just gonna need to have a good prototype in your mind of your website. You're just gonna need to have a good general idea on how your website should basically operate. And if you have a good idea, trust me, this should work incredibly. Okay, so in my opinion, I'm gonna keep a navigation bar. I'm gonna keep a little boxes on the right hand side, and just generally basic stuff to get my head around. Okay, So now that we have desktop opened up over here, we're going to come over to layout grid and we're going to click on plus. And once we click on plus, that basically gives us a proper 10 pixelated grid. So you can go ahead to this and you can switch this over to columns. Okay, and that changes things up. And what you can do is you're going to go over to the color and I'm going to make them white. Okay, now once they are white, what you can do from there is you can change the type to center. Okay, and once you have changed the type to center, what you can do from there is you can keep the chart on a 12. Okay, so now that we have done that, what you can do from there is simply zoom in to your design. Okay, and now we can see that our design is, relatively pretty, you could say, sectioned up, right? So you can keep on zooming in more and more if you want to. And also when it comes to our width, you can increase it. So look at that. Now we have this increase. So that basically creates a grid for us, okay? So we have a 12 column 75 pixel grid. Now what you're going to do is you're going to go over to your frames. And once you come over to your frames, here's where we're going to create 3 frames for us. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom out once again. And once we zoom out like this, now what you're going to want to do is you're going to create a whole grid. And also, wait, let me just go ahead and edit this accordingly. Okay, so obviously the count is good enough. I'm going to go ahead and change the width if we may. Let's make it slightly bigger. There we go. I think that works. So once we have created that, what you can do from there is go into your frames. And once you go into your frames, you can create different frames. Now, creating frames in this section will basically allow you to, accordingly keep your design well and off. So I'm going to go over to frame again and, just like this, create as many frames as you want, etc. So again, more the frames you create, the more, references you can get from designs like these. So you could choose the different fonts that it has. You can also go ahead and choose its navigation menu. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the navigation menu. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here on the right hand side, click on this, click on paste. And now we have the navigation menu right here, as you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the navigation menu size. And we're obviously going to make sure to copy off a navigation menu because I don't think that was a navigation menu. I'm simply going to come over to the pages. Yeah, there we go. Now we're going to go ahead, simply copy. Okay. Once you have copied, you're going to come over to your design. And once we're in our design, go ahead and paste. And there we go. Now we have a navigation menu all set it up and ready to go. Now what you can do is you can easily increase all of its size. Okay, so each things that you increase, will entirely depend on how you choose to mess around with the design. So we have all the text lines over here, but for these text lines to actually appear well, what you're going to need to do is we're going to have to increase its, main optimal size. So to increase the main optimal size, what you can do is obviously increase the fonts of these texts, okay? Because the fonts of these texts is extremely crucial. So as you can see, you can go ahead and section these as you want. And when it comes to the font, you can simply come around over here. And if it's a font based hug, so let's say I'm going to come over to this and you can see if it increases. So generally, as we can see, the font is not allowing us to increase. So in the case that the fonts do not increase, what you can do is you can simply go ahead and remove this background. Okay, once you have removed that background, what you can do is you're going to come over to the fill color and make them totally white. Okay, any fill color you have that is off-putting, you're going to make it white. Once you've made it white, what you can do from there, as I stated, you're going to increase the size accordingly for yourself to make sure that it sits well. And once you've increased the size, simply bring it to the center of your page. And once you have brought it to the center of your page, what you can do is you can keep it a pass through on the main outlook of the design. All right. So the main outlook of the design matters a lot according to how you plan on creating the website with different integratory designs. You can also design the hero and navigation in different styles for yourself as well. So let's say we have the hero over here. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom into this. Okay, now once we have done that, hero navigation set. Now you can go over to the different components that this page provides us. All right. So the different components that we get are all these things about our company, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Once you've copied it, again, we're going to move over to the right hand side. And once you move over to the right hand side, again, you're going to come over here and we're going to paste these things. And there we go. So now what you're going to do is you're going to scroll it slightly down. So, it's not entirely covering the whole page. So once we do that, I'm going to go over to the text. And once we go over to the text, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the color about your company. Okay, again, we go to the lines, make them white. And yeah, that is how you are going to add your menus. Okay. And once you've added that, you can assign different text to different, PNGs. You can, by the way, add your very own images as well, by the way. You don't just need to add all these other images. You can add your very own by simply, let's say I'm going to draw a shape over here. And once we draw a shape, in the shape, what you can do is we're going to come over to fill. We're going to come to this. We're going to click on choose image and you can add any image that you desire. So let's say I want to add this. Okay. Now that we've added it, I'm going to increase its size and look at that. So just like this, you can add a lot of images for yourself. It's generally a pretty easy and fun thing to have for a platform like this. So, I would definitely urge you to use it. So once we've added this, you can just, escape out of it and we can see that, it's set it up properly. Now just make sure to centralize all the things at one point. So yeah, that should be centralized. Then as you move down furthermore, you can go ahead and add different components that are included in your page. So let's say I'm gonna go with the whole get started with us today call to actions, because those seem very important to the actual website. So I'm gonna bring them right about here. Okay, we're gonna bring it down. We're gonna add the call to actions. Once you've added the call to actions, just make sure to expand its size a bit. And what you can do is you can sizably keep it here. Okay. And just among this, I'm gonna add other things as well. Like let's go ahead with this website templates that boost your sales. So I'm gonna add that, save it, and we're gonna bring it right onto the right side, and we're gonna paste it over here. Now once you paste it here, there we go. We have it now. So now if we go ahead to the zoom in section, you can see we have the whole nav bar. All right. And after the nav bar, as we scroll down, you can see we have this. So get ready, get started, etc. So just like this, your pages go on, and you can set different items in it to work with. We have the main, we've designed the main hero and navigation. You can change the sizes of the elements that you have. You can change the, you could say, alignment of the features that you're actually using for yourself, and a whole lot more. So these are really fun things to have for your page. And I would definitely suggest you to mess around with these things a lot. So once you've gotten a main idea of this, what you're going to do from there is, you're going to get into the main designs that you already have. So let's say I'm going to come over to this design over here, and we're going to bring it to the left hand side. Like, let's say we have this, right? You can increase the size of the get started button. You can also change the color, by the way. So if you want something, that matches the scheme more. So let's say I can simply go ahead with something like this, you know, something like that, matches well with the vibe and aesthetic, and it also gives us a good little, fill into it. Then we have all these images that you can obviously increase the size of. You can also set these images accordingly to yourself. So, I've set it in a kind of a collage. So, just things like these help you out a lot when you're working with all these things, okay? Now, once you have, designed your hero and navigation, what you can do from here is you can add a pretty good feature where you can, kind of create the background. So the background obviously is pretty bland right now. So, let's add a gradient type of color. A gradient color would look pretty decent in my opinion. So first of all, let's go ahead and remove this grid from behind us. So I'm going to go over to desktop. I'm going to go over to grid, and we're going to simply go ahead to columns, go over to grid, and I'm going to make it disappear. And there we go. Now it's a pretty standard and straightforward website now, right? So once this is done and you want to, actually go ahead and create a proper, you could say, organizational background with a gradient on it, what we can do is basically when we have all these things over here, when we have all these things set up, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to the ellipse setting. Okay, so once we have the ellipse setting open, we're going to open up a circle like this. So once the circle is done, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the fill color of the circle. You're going to come to the blue. So once we come over to the blue section, we're going to make sure to find a good light blue. There we go. So once you have done that, what you're going to do is you're going to bring it over here. And what we're obviously going to be doing is we're going to be sending it behind the text, okay? So to send it behind the text, what you're going to do is you're going to bring it under, pretty much everything you can find. So I'm simply going to go ahead. We're going to see that is image 1, so let's bring it under it, and there we go. So once you have brought it under image 1, what you can do from there is you can, obviously let down the opacity a bit, and letting down the opacity a bit will help a lot as well. Okay, so I'm simply going to click on it. Then we can go over to our effects. Okay, then once we go to effects, you're going to go to layer blur. Once you go to layer blur, what you're going to do from there is you're going to set the blur up to, something like 300 or something, depending on how high you can actually tend to go. Just make it as blur as you can, in my opinion. So we're going to go over to, let's say, this much, as blur as it can be, in my opinion, because the more blur it is, the better the gradient. So once it, it just becomes a ball of light like it is right now, you're simply going to go ahead and leave it at that point. So I think this should work well. So once this is done, what you can do is you're gonna copy paste, and then one of these, you can just bring it over here. And once we have brought it over here, what you can do is you can change this one's color. Let's say I'm gonna make it purple. Okay, so once that has been made purple, bring this slightly lower over here. Okay, so now we have a purple gradient and we have another gradient. Okay, and we're gonna make sure that these ellipses are under these. Okay, because we don't want these ellipses to be over any of these. There we go. Because that just ruins the color of it, in my opinion, and I don't want that. Okay, personally. So just like this, you're gonna add in your gradients and make your background look much more flared up. Now our background actually looks pretty nice, and actually looks like something I would use. Obviously zoomed in, not so much, because the boundaries are off, but if you look at it this way, it looks pretty incredible. And just like this, you can make your background into a pretty good and decent looking background, all right? So, yeah, that's mainly all there is when it comes to creating a proper, you could say, website on Figma. Now, few more things that I'd like to discuss are, the other details in Figma when it comes to, stuff like masking. Now, masking isn't something that you're going to need so much when it comes to your websites, but generally, I feel like personally, every person should know masking. And when it comes to, some design worthy software like, Figma, you will want to do proper masks for yourself because masking allows you to take one object to another place, okay, from one place to another. And by taking it from one place to another, you can add in masks into it. And once you add in masks into it, that helps you out a lot as well with the different integrations that it provides you. Okay. So these are things that are going to help you greatly when you are working with these things. All right. So pretty much that is what you're going to want to insinuate for yourself. All right. Now, what we're going to do is pretty much once we're done with our website, you're going to go to share. And once you go to share, you can export it in two ways. You can either copy dev mode link, copy prototype link, publish it to community, get an embedded code, or you can simply export it as a PNG. So let's say I'm going to export a vector. And once you open up that vector file, it hasn't loaded properly, by the way. So once it loads properly, what you can do is you can easily go ahead and export it. So as you can see, it pretty much starts exporting everything in one format. And once everything has formatted in the easiest way, it pretty much exports. And that is how you are going to go ahead and use Figma for your website design in the easiest and most simplest way. So that's pretty much all there is when it comes to this video. Now, if you enjoyed watching, please do make sure to drop down a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, do let me know down in the comments below and I'll be making a whole lot more for you. But yeah, until then, that is all from me. And I'll be seeing all of you wonderful people in the very next video. Have a great and incredible day. I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.